Salutare, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim and welcome to this Timo written Sounds German review of the Rummelsnuff album Rummelsnuff Asbach, which is Rummelsnuff's fifth album and was released back in 2016. What would you get if you took a 50-something-year-old who worked as a bodybuilder and bouncer in his life, who has a love for the sea, and let him paint you a picture of how he sees the world with the use of music? Sounds strange, you may say. Well, sounds interesting, I think. Rummelsnuff has been around for some time. His self-titled debut came out in 2008, but he releases albums as far back as the early 90s. It's hard to describe his musical style actually, because he delivered such a wide pattern of genres over the last decade. His music mostly consists of slow, very simplistic, electropunk-influenced electronic music, with German worker songs, ballads, French chansons, cover versions of famous old songs as well as shanties, hard rock and Neue Deutsche Härte songs, and even Romanian poems transferred into songs at some point. Just looking at this listing, you will probably notice that it's quite a mouthful and that Rummelsnuff is not satisfied with pleasing a single target audience. And it's quite rare these days to see an artist that is somewhat successful focusing not on one style and instead just mixes over half a dozen genres in one single album like Rummelsnuff did here. For Rummelsnuff Asbach, the so-called Käptn Snuff gets help in form of his first mate, Asbach. Rummelsnuff's part are mostly the verses, spoken with his deep, manly, rough voice, while Asbach focuses mostly on the hooks, delivered in a clearly trained singing voice, which builds a nice contrast to Rummelsnuff's deeper and less sung but more spoken delivery of the lyrics. The album's opening song is called Treidler, a song about the men who earned their living in the 16th to 20th century by pulling ships on long, thick ropes upstream against the current. It tells the bleak reality of working your body to ruin for a living till you die, but also that this hard work meant freedom for those men. It's an unusual, serious, and kind of sad song for Rummelsnuff actually. The bass of the track is a sailor tune played on an accordion with a dark, slow electronic beat on top of it and carefully placed percussions. The composition reminds me of someone taking very slow steps under a heavy burden, which actually fits the lyrics of the track just perfectly. The hook is sung beautifully by Asbach here and gives the song a bit of a dramatic and longing touch, especially in these parts. It's a pretty dark and bleak start to open this album with, which is highly unusual for Rummelsnuff actually, but I like this song very much and it got me instantly hooked and interested in the album. Stille im Maschinenraum follows this mood right up. It's more of an electronic, somewhat sad, nautical-themed ballad about an individual that is ready to leave this world way before it's time for him. It makes also use of a very prominent bass guitar and a violin or piano to accentuate important parts. And just like most goodbyes in real life aren't done with a bang, the song doesn't push the drama right in your face, but has more of a calm atmosphere with it swelling below the surface. The next song is called Haferschleim, which is the German word for gruel, and is sung in a mix consisting of English and German. As you might have guessed by the title already, it's quite a turnaround both in terms of music and atmosphere. It's a far more upbeat electronic tune with silly, fun lyrics. You might have noticed I go in on the lyrics a lot here. That's because there isn't that much to describe of the music itself, but I feel that the lyrics are the real star on this album. Sure, you won't find great poetry in the texts here with simple rhyme patterns and a delivery from Rummelsnuff that can feel amateurish at times, but I found the themes used here really enjoyable. Meanwhile, the music itself can come off as a bit semi-professional in terms of composition and structuring. The compositions are kept very simplistic and basic from start to finish, with really no real surprises on this album at all. But this helps to focus more on the lyrical side, which I think takes an important role here on this album. The lyrics themselves aren't quite what you would call, well, poetic masterpieces, and in parts can come off as a bit, well, I guess you could best call it simple. but they have heart and passion and are covering quite some unusual themes. They are by far the most interesting part on this disc, in my opinion. Take, for example, the fourth song, Crystal Ball, a song sung only by Asbach about how one's life is like a fragile crystal ball rolling over rocks. It's a very one-dimensional ballad with a simple drum pattern, a xylophone for most of the melody, and a bit of a guitar play for the bridges. Nothing wild, nothing special, nothing really complex either, but because the music takes a bit of a back seat, Asbach's vocals can really shine, delivering a beautiful and tender and memorable performance. Helmut is a song, on the other hand, about, well, a guy called Helmut who is a machine operator which gets his hand injured. This song feels like a throwback to the sound of the 80s, with a pumping beat and playful use of synth sound effects to an almost danceable degree. Dr. Rummel Mr. Snuff, an obvious play on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, is a slick piece which focuses on a more simple bass line and Asbach singing in a high-pitched voice about how Dr. Rummel needs to have a dim-lighted music dance room to become Mr. Snuff, or as he calls it, the pig within you. It's a cool dance song with absurd lyrics, but it has its very own lovable charm to it, without a doubt. The song Eisengott uses church work as a metaphor for lifting weights in the gym. Complete with church organ-influenced electronic beat music, they sing about how their style of praying takes place on the weight bench and how they are lifting weights for the Holy Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I'm actually not sure if I find this song just funny or if it's honestly a cool idea for a metaphor, because it's sung too seriously to be really funny or just come off as a plain comedic track. What, however, is undoubtedly a comedic song is Harzer Käse, a song with a Bavarian-style tuba beat about a certain kind of German cheese that is super smelly but beloved by the so-called Pumper culture. That is a culture that focuses on lifting weights to get big muscular bodies, but not in the way bodybuilders do, it's more about raw power than a perfectly defined looking body, and it's something that Rummelsnuff has addressed more than once in his music. And according to this track, they love the cheese because it is so very rich in protein, but has little to no fat. It's a really neat, upbeat song about how eating this cheese transforms men into hard rocks growing larger than mountains, and all the women will lay down before their feet because they will lose their consciousness because the smell of the cheese is so overpoweringly strong. The songs Der Oger, Zuchtviech, and Straßenbau are all electronic numbers that are okay, but don't really stand out in any way. However, they are also not so bad that I would call them duds either. Der Oger has this driving synthwave going for it, Zuchtviech has some nice German wordplay sections that sadly won't really work out if you just translate them, and Straßenbau surprises with a small-town shopping mall vibe of all things. The odd one out, if you can even call it that given the mixture of this album, would be the song Springkraut, a song in which Rummelsnuff sings about, and I'm not kidding you, how fantastic it is to be a premature ejaculator and how honored the women should feel if something like that happens, and how proud Rummelsnuff is of himself to be a man with this, I guess, skill set. With lyrics that translate to I look at you and I instantly have to shoot my load. I don't need therapy because I have no time to lose, and the sooner I come, the sooner we can go at it again. It's really a bizarre song with a jumpy, happy tune, but vocals that are sung in a sort of serious manner again. And again, I don't know if I should take this the funny way with all its odd metaphors for premature ejaculation, or as a song covering a serious issue that actually plagues a lot of men. The album then ends with the short sailor song Bursche, which delivers a fitting ending with a mix of upbeat tuba play and a melancholic accordion tune. This is actually a double album though, but the second disc only contains various remixes. So, as a conclusion, Rummelsnuff and Asbach is a strange little piece of music. Rummelsnuff did good to team up full-time with Käptn Asbach for this album, seeing how he formerly only had guest appearances in a couple of Rummelsnuff songs. The two singing styles work well together and make up for the oftentimes very simplistic compositions. You will find basically all facets of Rummelsnuff on this one album. The serious worker songs, the weightlifting tracks, shanties, and silly and funny songs too. There is a good mix between ballads and more energetic tracks as well, and you somehow have to somewhat respect Rummelsnuff's passion for music, as simple as it might be at times, because this passion shines through all the tracks on this album. His style is all over the place and caters to so many different tastes, it makes it actually a bit hard to recommend this album because it covers so much different ground. I would nonetheless recommend that you give it a try, because this album is some modern German underground music culture in pure form. So, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you didn't like it, we have a button for that too. And if you have listened to this album, feel free to tell me in the comments what you thought about it. And if you want at least one weekly music review from an artist or band you probably never heard about before, just subscribe to the channel. You can also follow Sounds German on Facebook or Twitter. I do usually post daily new music videos on there from all kinds of artists. I hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day. Salida!